Welcome back to Athlete's Journey. I'm your host, Travis Reed. Today, I got a special guest. Everybody's been kind of clamoring like, you need to get a female athlete on there. You need to get a female athlete. So I reached out to this person, and she's a hooper. Been through some things in her life, and that's what I like. I like people who've been through the struggle, been through the journey, and still coming out on top. She can actually hoop, y'all. She got some highlights on YouTube. Trust me, I've seen them. You know what I'm saying? I love to see one of y'all dudes challenge her one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? But no, she's a good person. We connected on, on social media. And so she decided to come on the show, talk about her journey. Introduce yourself to the people.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Tonisha Childress. So I guess a little bit about my background. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, born and raised. It's 4 generations of my family here. So my great-grandparents came from the South, Arkansas and Mississippi. I grew up here, North Las Vegas area. I've been playing basketball since I was 4.
And we'll start from there. I was going to ask you, how did your journey start? Go ahead.
Yes. So I've been playing basketball since I was 4 years old.
Okay.
I've ventured to do other sports and stuff, but that was just one that kind of stuck into my adult career. But growing up, I grew up with, uncles, cousins, at parks and stuff like that, starting at the little Chuck E. Cheese, Peter Piper pizza hoops and stuff like that. And people used to say like, hey, does she play on the team? My mom was like, no, like she does beauty pageants, because I did a lot of beauty pageants growing up as a little girl. And my stepfather, he was the one actually to kind of introduce basketball, to my mother, like, hey, let's, get her into sports or something like that. And I was kind of just naturally, gifted and talented, when I kind of stepped right on the court. Started when I was around 4 or 5, played in NYS leagues.
Okay. Is that what the equivalent of AAU? Did you play AAU basketball?
Yeah, I played AAU basketball, but NYS is like biddy ball. So like before I got to AAU, I transitioned to AAU. I played, biddy ball. So like 6, 7 years old.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Playing, like in little NYS leagues and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then I went on to middle school. And then I played on my first AAU team, 8th grade of my middle school year. And okay. I was probably the youngest on the team. I was the baby. Everybody were all like juniors, seniors, getting ready to get signed, graduate. And I was, the little baby on the team. I was the only 8th grader that played, up. Experienced AAU, went on to play further in college.
Wait. Don't be skipping. I gotta know about high school.
Oh, high school.
Yeah. Like, what was your so you played a BD ball, which I never heard of. That's the first time I heard of that. Right. And then transitioned to AAU, right?
Yeah.
And so you're in high school, right? What's your most memorable moment? What's your most memorable moment in high school?
Oh man, I can say my most memorable moment was probably the championship game my senior year. And that is on YouTube, that you can look it up. I was able to get on Channel 8 News from that shot. It was a buzzer beater last second shot with like 3.5 seconds on the clock. It was my senior night. It was a championship game to the 2 best teams in the region of Las Vegas, Nevada. So we were kind of going back and forth, and that was pretty memorable for me because at the time, like I was, still trying to figure out how I was going to get things in order for which college that I was going to go to. At that time, I was taking multiple visits, getting tons of letters. I actually got my first interest letter when I was in the 8th grade. And so that's when I kind of knew that, this is a pretty big deal. Like this was something that could basically change my life. So once I experienced that, it just was kind of full force, from there. And it became, it wasn't just fun, the game wasn't just fun, it became a business as well. Cause it's like, okay, I can kind of put myself on the map, with, my talent.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I remember me growing up myself. Like my first letter was in eighth grade too, and so like
Yeah.
that was like you just like, oh my God, this says like a letter with my name on it says Travis
Right.
Reed, and then you open it up, it's actual college, and so
Right.
I remember like my dad was like shocked. He was like, "You getting a letter in college in eighth grade? Got a lot to live up to, son." So I
Man,
mean,
that's how my pops was, but he wasn't really shocked. He kind of, he has an eye for talent. He was a football player, but he's from the south side of Chicago, so and he played for UNLV for football. That was his scholarship coming from Chicago, coming out here to play. But he kind of knew that I was just something special, so he wasn't really shocked. I was, because I'm like, wow, I'm only in the eighth grade, like because back then to me it was just fun for me. I was, I just did it because I liked it. I loved it. I loved doing it. But when I had to realize, like, okay, this is a changer, this could take me to the next level. That's when I, started to look at the game a little bit, differently, trying to mature into my game. So.
Okay, so obviously, if you're getting letters in eighth grade, you're probably one of the top players in the state of Las Vegas at the time in high school. How was your recruiting, and how did you pick your college?
So, so during my time in high school, I actually received Nevada Player State of the Year my senior year. I was also a McDonald's All-American nominee, and it was only 3 of us that were nominees in the whole state of Nevada during my class of 2013. So that was, a pretty big deal. But my recruiting process, I was getting a lot of letters of just different interests, took a few visits. So I had, Ivy Leagues, the Harvards, the Browns. The first letter that I received in 8th grade was from Portland State. Actually, I had, Mountain West, teams in the Mountain West, teams in the, what conference is that? Big West, teams in the, Western Athletic Conference. I had teams, quite a few options. I felt like I had a field day, when it came to, where I felt would, team fit me, where the best interest would be for myself. And so I took a few visits. I took one at Austin Peay State University. It's in Clarksville, Tennessee. And I was connected through that team through my high school coach. I had Montana State looking at me. I initially picked Boise State. They actually had started recruiting me my sophomore year of high school. And then it kind of came back around my senior year. Okay. But I chose Boise State because it was still close to home. We were there in the Mountain West Conference. So I was able to play in front of my, my family when it came to tournament time, stuff like that. It was only about like a 9-hour drive, driving, from Boise to Las Vegas. And then the flight was, of course, a lot, shorter distance wise. So when I took the visit, I fell in love with, everything out there. My mother actually was the one that came with me. And, from the blue turf, that they have out there, that's, something very unique about that university that a lot of schools can't, they can't really relate. But that was something that was like a pretty cool experience. The coaching staff was amazing. I love the players. Like everybody was genuine, very just warm and, welcoming when I took my visit. I love the weather out there. It wasn't nothing crazy like natural disaster type, like you got the typical, sunny days, rainy days. We got a little bit of snow up there. But it wasn't nothing that I couldn't bear. It was, I don't know, it just felt like home, home to me. So
I got you. I would tell you like whenever it feels like home, that's when you know is where you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I actually, when I was at Long Beach State, Boise State was in the conference in the Big West.
Okay.
Like they were just in it for the last year. They left the next year because they had a football team and Long Beach State didn't. So like them and Utah State left the conference because they had football, and then like they went to a football conference. And like trust me, like I understand, like Boise State was a cool spot.
Yeah.
And and so you're at Boise State, so you picked Boise State, right?
Right. So I picked Boise State. I was there for my freshman and sophomore year. I did end up transferring going into my junior year. I stayed about a semester right before the season started, and then I end up transferring just for personal reasons is why I made that decision. But then I end up signing with New Mexico State in the Western Athletic Conference. And that was actually recommended to me through my former AAU coach. He kind of, had connections through that staff that was currently there at that time. And I actually knew one of the staff members. She was the director of operations at the time when I was going through the recruiting process over again. Okay. I knew some of the players. One of the players actually was at the rival school that I went, for high school. So she had already been there since her freshman year. So she kind of was able to give me a little background of, how the team was, how the campus was. And I actually knew her prior to, high school. We've known each other since like middle school. So she kind of was able to, fill me in and kind of tell me about the team. And then of course I was able to take a visit and get my own, feel for it. But I had a very successful, career in college at both universities. I was able to get rings. I got a ring at Boise State, and then we played in the NCAA tournament first round versus Tennessee. And then when I went on to New Mexico State, we won 3 championships that I was there. I was able to get 2 rings, only because one of the years was my redshirt year. We won, but and then of course I got, a ring in high school as well. So
you was basically a winner doing your thing, you know what I'm saying?
Man, I wish I should have had all my rings because I feel like Jordan sometimes. I put all of them on each finger. That's how I usually rock it. But
okay.
Yeah, so I had a very, successful, winning career, at both universities that I, attended. So I enjoyed the experience there. At both schools, made some really good, friendships and bonds and connections, outside of, the basketball court. So I don't know, I loved it. I loved the experience. I loved the process to get there.
All right. So what was your greatest triumph and your greatest failure in college?
My greatest triumph, I would say, well, that first year going in, when I was a freshman at Boise State University, we didn't make it to the tournament. We didn't make it to the NCAA tournament because we had lost in the regular season tournament to, I believe, UNLV at the time. So that was, we ended up losing. But that next year, being able to win the entire Mountain West and get the experience of being on the big stage, playing on TV in front of my family, that was probably my biggest triumph because it changed my mindset. Like, it's like, what do I have to do? I have to do whatever it takes to, so that I could get to that position or get on that, big stage. And that was like my biggest triumph, is making that transition. Like, hey, this is, I don't want to have this feeling again, of losing. So, what do I need to do on that off season to improve, to make myself, better, and make my teammates better, so that we can, win the tournament and go to the NCAA and, experience that. Because, not everybody will experience that, going through their college career.
Oh, I got you. What was the biggest lesson that you learned in college? Because you figured like you won both schools, you won a lot of rings. What was the biggest lesson that you learned in college?
I would say the biggest lesson is to just basically never give up. Like, never give up. And I'm not only saying on that aspect of being on the court, but in the classroom, those days that you might not want to wake up for that 6 a.m., workout, or, go to those study hall hours and stuff. My biggest lesson was just to continue to push, because you're going to take some losses during your journey, whether it's, back home with family, personal issues. I had a lot of 2 big major deaths, in my family, that really took a toll on me while I was going through my career in college. And I did, get counseling and stuff during those times, but it's just to keep pushing through. That was the biggest lesson for me. Keep pushing through. Don't give up, because you're going to hit some, highs and lows and stuff throughout that time. But I felt like it made me, stronger. It made me a stronger person,
Well, that's always good. Like, I think we learn ourselves through our failures or struggles, when you're successful, like, it's a great thing, but like, I think you learn who you are, is really who you are as a person through the struggle to get to the top. And once you get to the top, you learn who you are after you get the success, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so like, those are 2 separate things, for me. Is like, I've learned so much since I've retired from basketball and had to figure out my life in a different way. Even more so me playing overseas, year after year after year, making the money, you know what I'm saying?
How long were you overseas?
I was overseas 10 years. I did 10 years overseas, yeah. So when I was in Bogota, Colombia, went to Holland, went to Germany, was in Australia, Ukraine, Romania, Estonia. I've been all over.
You went some places.
Yeah, I was all over. So for me, it was a situation where, I got injured. I have stress fractures in both my shins. Still have plates in my shins till this day.
Oh, wow.
So, for me, it was a situation where, it was just time. I didn't feel like it was time. It was like God told, like, okay, it's time for you to retire, because like the money was okay. It was getting like, and I was kind of like, well, do I want to keep going over here for this money? And then, my son was 3 at the time. I just, I was thinking like, man, should I keep doing it or should I just retire? And so, I remember my last offer, was like money that I was like, man, forget this, man. I ain't gonna do this,
Yeah,
It was kind of like,
worth it.
It wasn't worth it anymore. So I was like, I'm gonna just figure out what the heck I'm gonna do without basketball. Now, if I'd have known how tough it was, I might have played, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It took literally years to figure out to be successful to where I'm at now and be blessed, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that that's the whole journey of the situation,
Right.
of life, not only of basketball, of life, to figure out who you are as a person. Like we already discussed this, like, you played ball since you were 4 or 5 years old, and now how old are you?
I'll be 27 this month.
27,
at the end of this
right?
month.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
that's
it takes a toll on your body, because it's like, even especially playing at that young age, and even in high school, you'll feel the little bumps and bruises and stuff. But as time gets, when you start getting up in age, you start feeling everything. The things that you might have not felt maybe in middle school or high school, in college or at the pro league, you're definitely gonna feel it. So
no, definitely. Look,
that self-care. Yeah.
You're 27, right? I
Yeah.
played ball for 28 years straight,
Okay.
from 5 to 33. So it was a situation trying to figure out who I was besides that.
Right.
But let's get back to you. All right.
Okay.
You're super successful in college, right? You
Right.
won, league championships, went to the tournament, all those successful things, right?
Right.
So are you thinking about WNBA? Are you thinking about overseas? What do you think about after school?
So at the time, I wasn't thinking WNBA. Like I wasn't thinking playing. I was thinking more so like career paths. Because I majored in psychology. I got my degree in psychology,
Okay.
and
So you
I want.
graduated, right?
Yeah, I graduated. Yeah.
Congratulations. Never
Thank,
let the school
thank
pimp
you.
you. Never let the school pimp you. Always pimp the school.
Yeah, so I graduated, um and my focus then at the time was, career paths, like you said, who else am I outside of, Tonisha, the basketball player? Who else, what other interests do I have? What else can I could possibly be good at, to, have another career path or direction in. So at the time, when I was back in high school, actually, my mother, she's a clinical director and clinical therapist. And so she works in the mental health, field and stuff like that. And that was something that I always wanted to do growing up. Like when I was a little girl, I always said that I wanted to be a pediatrician. Like I wanted to be a pediatrician. I wanted to be a doctor, but I just knew that, whatever career path that I took, I wanted to give back to help. And, so I started to get the interest into the mental health field, because I know that's a need, that a lot of, athletes actually, need, because it's like we go through a lot, and it's just like we can't just sit up there and shut up and dribble all the time. It's like we're human, we go through things, and sometimes we be needing, a shoulder to lean on, someone to talk to. And so, and I was always big on, giving back, wanting to help, help the next person, that are looking to, be in the position that I was in, playing, on that big stage and stuff like that. So I was looking into starting a business into mental health, which I actually do own a mental health business now. So I was looking into that. I did a little bit of law enforcement for a little bit, just kind of just trying different things out. I worked in juvenile probation. I worked, inside the prisons, and and I actually worked for actual police departments. So I had my hands in a little bit of everything, just trying different things out of, what I may like, what else I might be interested in. But I knew I wanted to be able to give back to help. So at that time, yeah, I wasn't thinking, WNBA overseas. After college, I was just thinking about career routes, other things that I may be interested in.
Sometimes that happens. I think sometimes we think, like, okay, like we're for sure, like this is what I want to do. And sometimes you're thinking like, well, maybe this is not what I want to do. I want to go into my career now.
Yeah.
And like I said, like you actually did it in a smart way because you have a business, right? That you're the boss of it. And
Yes.
so that's a great thing. Okay, so we'll go back to that, but you're having a successful business, right? And figuring out,
Yes.
because you're 100% right. Athletes, mental health with athletes is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, I remember it was a struggle, super struggle for me. When I retired, I was mad at the world. I was mad at myself. I was mad at my family. You know what I'm saying? I was mad at everybody, even God at one point, because I was like, was I that big of an asshole? Why couldn't I continue to play? But God
Right.
was like, God sees the beginning to the end. So, he saw me going through the struggle early to get to where I'm at now, to appreciate it. So I
Absolutely.
think, with your situation, I think it's a little different. I think me and you already discussed it, but tell the people, like you have your business, and how'd you get back into sports?
Yeah, so after, after college, I, got into the law enforcement and was planning to get my business running and going. And I actually came up on an opportunity to play in a minor league in my city that had just recently started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, they were like, oh, we kind of heard a little bit about you because they, of course, knew that I wasn't playing. And they were like, hey, like, are you interested? Do you want to come out? And, at the time I had no intentions, of getting back into basketball. It just wasn't a priority at the time because I was so focused on getting my business running
Mm-hmm.
and so at the time it wasn't, it wasn't a priority. And I had other life goals that I was trying to accomplish.
Right.
And so I said, hey, you know what? Let me just take a chance and see, see where this can actually go because I didn't give myself that opportunity or that chance after college. So I end up, joining this league, played with, former teammates that I might have played with in high school, just different women that were either getting back into it to help get themselves to the next level or just to, stay in shape, whatever the case may have been or whatever, for whatever reason they were, deciding to play in that league. I did it on not intentionally, not trying to get overseas, but I was able to get that opportunity. So all the games are all local in the states. We Arizona, California, Las Vegas, those type of things. And so I had to kind of get myself back in shape, going to practice, kind of getting my stamina and stuff back because I hadn't touched the ball, since since I graduated,
Yeah,
competitive,
right.
yeah, on a competitive level. I hadn't touched the basketball like that. So I was, trying to get my flow back and, trying to get my groove back. And then I was presented an opportunity to go play in Mexico in an invitational
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for athletes that are, looking to go overseas. And I guess all the top players from each team in the league that I had joined were able to go on that trip. And, I was chosen from my team to go amongst a few others. And I was able to, go perform, play in front of, coaches, other players. It was just a good overall experience, and it was live streamed, through Facebook, through, whatever network that they had out there so that, people can tune in. So I took that opportunity, performed well, had a good time, got to experience seeing different things because that was kind of like my first, like, I guess, experience of playing outside of, the States,
Mm-hmm.
because I hadn't since college. So I was like, okay, it was cool. And then I started just to start self-marketing, trying to reach out to players and mentors that I looked up to that were already on that big stage that had, played in the WNBA that were already overseas and asking them, hey, what are their steps? What steps do I need to take, to get to basically where you are? What are the steps? Who do I need to reach out to? Just connecting and networking with other people that I had already knew that was on that journey. And I just started self-marketing myself, reaching out to agencies, letting them know that I was back active, that I was, looking, and it just kind of went up from there. And then I was able to get a few agencies to kind of, get back with me and were interested in representing me. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
things just kind of went, from there. And once I got the representation, now it's like, okay, let's get your film, from college. What are you doing now? So playing in that league and then also going to that invitational was helpful because it was current,
Yeah.
it was
Mm-hmm.
showing that I was, okay, she's back at it.
She's in
So
shape. She's in some kind of
right,
shape. Yeah.
right. So, they were able to market, me that way, from my college career and as well as just the league that I had just recently played in. And then after that, I was able to sign my first deal. So like shortly after that season ended, I was able to get picked up, by a team in Spain. So that's just pretty much how it went from there.
That's
So,
crazy. See, folks, I would say this. She did it the opposite way, and if you're struggling, right, to try to get on a team, listen to her story. She was working a job, decided to play in a local league, right? Went all around playing in a local league, got invited to Mexico.
Yeah.
Went to Mexico. And then she went from Mexico to Spain. And if anybody doesn't know, Spain is the number 2 league in Europe. Now, for women, I don't know, but I know for men, it's the number 2 league besides the NBA. Like, Spain is the number 1 league in Europe, but the number 2 league in the world behind the NBA for men. All the big time people play in Spain. So
absolutely,
like her journey is crazy when it comes to that. From coming from what she did from basically working to back to hooping.
Yeah. And being in Spain, it was a great, opportunity and experience. The food was great there. The people were great. Actually, I was fortunate to be only like 30 minutes from a relative that actually plays in the ACB league out there in Spain. And so I got to go out and, I had family close. So, being that far away from home, that was very comforting because, you have your teammates and your coaches and stuff, but it was definitely a culture shock, for me because, I had been away from home, in college and stuff like that, but being in a whole nother country,
it's different, it's definitely different.
Yeah, it was really different. So, having my cousin, be nearby, he was able to kind of show me around. Like he always, had my best interest to make sure that he was, looking out for me while I was out there. And then one of his teammates, actually, I played with in college. So, I had a few people out there that, they definitely made sure that they looked out for me. But the experience being in Spain was phenomenal. I loved it. I loved it because I'm like, man, just waking up. I'm like, man, I'm waking up in Spain. Like, I felt like I just felt good every day, whether I had a good day, bad bad practice, good practice, like just the fact that I was there, I was in the present, was,
No, definitely. It's definitely a blessing, I would say. Playing in Europe is just like a different kind of world, different kind of animal.
Yeah.
It's just different, like whenever I would wake up, wherever I would wake up, whatever country I was in, I had some bad days. Don't get me wrong. If I was in Estonia, it was -15 outside. It's a blizzard, and I got to go to practice. Yeah, that sucks. But some days where the sun is out and you go into practice or whatever, and you're just like, man, what a wonderful life I'm living.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And that's how I felt after every win. What a wonderful life, wonderful world. And after every loss, I hate myself. So,
right.
it's just like
but
I said.
You were still blessed. You were still blessed.
Still blessed. Still blessed
to be
exactly.
there. Yeah, that's how I felt.
So you're in Spain. You finished the season. What's next?
So currently I'm just kind of in that, gap period where I'm waiting, for, the next opportunity or next, deal. But, I really want to continue to lock into my mental health business and grow that on a bigger, platform because everything, especially with, the COVID, has been virtual, when it comes to our clientele, because it's like, I have therapists, on-call therapists and life coaches that, can work with our clients. But I want to be more, present, to my business and, And I'm also want to eventually get a building, you know, because right now, you know, we don't have a building. Everything is just virtual, you know, everything
virtual.
is virtual. So I want to get to that point, you know, where I can actually have a business where, you know, our clients can come into. So right now it's just basically, you know, building the business and, you know, continue on, you know, with my career if, you know, God blesses me with that. I just recently got engaged. So,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
thank you,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. So, you know, my fiance, he's actually getting ready to take off and, you know, start his career professionally as well. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm his biggest support system right now, as far as, you know, making sure that he gets to the next level. So, you know, helping him with his journey, making sure that, you know, we're in the gym together, you know, getting up shots, you know, staying in shape, just staying ready, you know, staying ready. So, that's, you know, that's what I pretty much have going on right now. It's just building the, you know, the business, building my brand, you know.
Okay.
And building the brand, you know. I have quite a few like people that have already bought shirts, but Push Point Guardism is my brand. It's more of a philosophy, you know. It's not just a, you know, it's not just a clothing brand. It's a philosophy, you know. It's you know, it's about the game, you know. So, you know, that's pretty much, you know, all that I have going on now.
Well, no, that's more than enough. Like I said, if you can help one athlete, you've done your job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all that really matters. No, and the fact that you actually got a chance to come back and live your dream, it's that I feel like that's just a crazy journey, you know, in itself, because not a lot of athletes get to do that. Not a lot of athletes get to actually come back and live the dream of hooping, but already having their business going. I think that for us, it's like a situation where we just hooping. We don't really know what's going to happen next. We're not thinking about what's happening next. We're thinking about just hooping. But the fact that you already have your what's next already set, ready to go, established.
Yeah, I felt that that was actually pretty smart on my end, like I said, after college and, you know, kind of seeing that career path that I want to go to, because I already knew in the back of my mind, you know, basketball is not forever, you know, so you have to find your niche, you know, something that, you know, that you're interested in, that, you know, that you can still, you know, have financial freedom, you know, later in life. And I went on to get my business going, you know, came back to the hoops, and then, you know, to get the experience, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's all, you know, it's all about the experience, you know, it's all about.
I agree 100%.
For me, you know, personally. So, and now that I was able to get that, you know, like you said, it's about getting the next, you know, getting the next individual, the next, you know, youth, you know, that are growing up, that still want to say, hey, you know, I want to be just like her or him, or, you know, I want to be able to, you know, play.
Well, no, sorry for the we had a little technical difficulties there, but we are back. Tonisha is telling us like about basically her tremendous journey and the fact that, you know, she got a chance to live her dream, but also living her dream in the different world, meaning helping people. I think that she was meant to help people, because what she's doing now is something that's helping a lot of people. And it's a situation where I'm a fan of her, because like she was, you know, kind of knowing what the future was coming with when it comes to mental health issues with athletes or former athletes. Like, people don't realize, like, it is so hard for former. I'm not saying it's not hard for regular people, and it is, but like if you're an athlete that played younger, middle school, high school, stopped, college stopped, it's just, you know, like it's a mental grind. It's just, you know,
Absolutely.
and so like it's good to have, you know, things like what you're doing to help for the future, you know, of the athlete, that it's okay to get help.
Right.
Now, my question for you is, you know, obviously you did overseas thing, and you know, you played in college. What advice would you have for the next T coming from college to, to from college to overseas, or even from high school to college to overseas?
Right. Well, honestly, the best advice I can give is that each level you go, as you climb up that ladder, is going to be different. It's a mental game. It's definitely a mental game. So the best advice I could say is to stay mentally tough and stay mentally locked in. Of why you're doing it. You have to always have your why of why you're doing it, because if not, you can kind of lose sight, of your goal of trying to make it to where you want to get in life. Because the process is not easy, and sometimes some people are not fortunate to be in certain positions that you may have experienced. Everybody's journey is going to be completely different when going through that process, and maybe not necessarily having certain connections or certain people in your circle to help you, but be very self-sufficient. Is the best advice I can give to the next person that's trying to get it, because it's like sometimes it may not get done if it doesn't come from you. If you want to make your dream happen, like, it's on you, like, not everybody else. If you're fortunate and blessed enough to have certain people along that journey, that's great, but at the end of the day, like, it's about you, it's about your drive and how bad do you want it.
No, definitely. That's some great advice. I'll tell you that, because you're right. Everybody's journey is different. My journey was different from yours. I feel like other people's journey, my friends are different journey. Like if they went to the NBA and I went overseas, just be the best you can be overseas.
Right.
If they went, if they had a 10-year career, I had a 5, just in those 5 years, I'm gonna grind out and ball out.
Right.
If my career stops in college, it stops in college, and like you move on to the next thing. And so
absolutely,
it's a good situation, and I feel like that's great advice for the next generation. Well, all right, T, we have the last question of the interview. I always ask this to all my interviewees, at one point in their career or their life, if it's overseas, if it's in the States, we all go through these low points, right? And for yourself, I think people need to know, and myself, people need to know, how did you get out of the low point that you were in, and the low points of your career or your life, either or.
I got one word for you: prayer. Prayer, man. But yeah, prayer changes everything. But your low points, like I said, I asked to get the help, whether it was talking to counselors, talking to therapists, a lot of prayer, a lot of those low points, those low days that I had, praying to whoever your higher power may be, your creator. That was how I got through it, and just the support of my family and friends, remembering why I'm doing it, and to see everybody's face light up when they they can see me on TV, or they can see me on the live stream games and stuff, and tell me how proud they were of me. So your support system, is huge. And that really helped me get through a lot of any low points that I had. My support system, prayer, and getting the help when I needed it, not being afraid.
Like I said, like, it's a blessing, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, God is always going to be there, always will be there, going to be there forever. Like I remember overseas being by myself. I read the Bible about 3-4 times overseas, like from start to finish. No, not Revelations. I don't want to know.
He's like, I don't want to know the end part.
I don't want the end part, but everything else, what I'm saying? Right. I read the whole Bible. So
right.
But yeah, I definitely that's a great advice too. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on my show. I really appreciate it. I really hope you continue your career, but even if you didn't, you got a chance to experience, and Now that you're helping people as far as like athletes and their mindset, that's just the greatest gift that it could be given, you know.
Right.
Like I said, let's pump your show. I mean, your space and your area. I saw
Oh yeah,
people can't see. Yeah, it was pumping her shirt up. You know,
this is the brand that
okay.
It's, you know, it's a philosophy. You know, you can follow me on Instagram, follow the brand. You know, it's just mainly just supporters.
Where they can find you on Instagram? You didn't give the information, girl.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, yeah, I have 3 Instagram pages. My main page, Tonisha Childress Young. That's just my main page with my public figure type page. You can follow me there. Mm-hmm. You can follow my business page for Millennial Wellness Center _ for my mental health behavior private practice that I have got going. You know, we do a lot of stuff in the community for the youth. When there's games and stuff going on in the city, we always have extra tickets. We're always doing stuff, you know, in the community activities for the youth and young adults and athletes. We're gonna maybe next year sometime try to get some, you know, toy drives and stuff next year because you know we just kind of getting the groove of things. And then you can follow the brand Push Point Guardism on Instagram as well, and that's just basically gonna be videos and pictures of workouts, you know, getting myself in the gym, you know, different pointers that athletes can take, you know, from that page. And also just going back into the high schools, middle schools, giving back, working them out, you know, going to talk and kind of give them some advice of, you know, what it's like to be at the next level. So
okay, well, like I said, you know, that's a good thing. That's a heck of a good thing. And like I said, what you're doing is a good thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Like I said, thank you for coming on. Thank you everybody for listening. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing. Let everybody know, like I said, if this helps one athlete, you know, former, past, present, future, I've done my job. You know, that's what, you know, I bring people like Tonisha on here for, like, to tell her journey, tell her story, and let people know, like, whatever happens, just keep persevering, keep moving forward, keep grinding,
pushing.
You know, so you can follow me. This is obviously my show, An Athlete's Journey, on the Believe Network. Also follow my other show, Believe in UCLA, with me and my boy Sam. It's also on Believe Network. And you can follow me on Instagram at Travis W. Reed, and on Facebook, Travis W. Reed. And like I said, I will see you guys next week. Like I said, keep sharing, keep subscribing, and we're going to keep this train moving. All right. Thank you, T. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.